So today's video, I am basically doing a follow-up, like a second part of my American Jew living in Germany video. So if you have not already watched the first part of this video, go ahead and watch that and then come back to watch this one. Essentially, after I posted this first video about being an American Jew living in Germany, I got a lot of comments, a lot of critiques, a lot of questions down in the comment section, and I just wanted to take a video to just address all of those things. So with that said, let's just get straight into it. So I think one of the biggest misunderstandings that I had in the comment section from this first video was the fact that when I say I am Jewish, I'm not saying I'm religious, but what I'm saying rather is that being Jewish is a part of my cultural identity. So what is cultural identity? I actually decided that I would just pull up the Wikipedia definition of cultural identity and read it to you guys. Cultural identity is the identity or feeling of belonging to a group. It is part of a person's self-conception and self-perception and is related to nationality, ethnicity, religion, social class, generation, locality, or any kind of social group that has its own distinct culture. This is why when you're in the United States as a German, you might feel very German. It is, of course, your accent, but it's also things like the way you see the world, the ideas you have, and the way you react to certain situations. I was raised following the traditions that my ancestors set in place and to follow some of the core values that stem from Judaism. My family is deeply connected to this because we're upholding where we come from and why we exist. Our participation in these traditions is the way we sort of pay tribute to our Jewish history. My grandfather escaped from several Nazi work camps, and without his bravery and his strength, I would not exist today. His siblings and his parents were murdered in concentration camps. And because of this, I do not have aunts and uncles and cousins that should be a part of our family. So celebrating my Jewish culture is for him and for my other dead family members and for all of the other Jewish people who have sacrificed throughout history. I don't pray and I don't thank God I don't believe in, which is why I don't say I'm religious. For me, there is a massive difference between being a religious Jew or identifying with this culture. It can be difficult to understand when you come from a Christian faith. Christians normally identify with the religion, whereas Jews can identify with the religion, but they can also identify simply as a Jewish people. Therefore, you can identify as Jewish without feeling religious or believing in God. To give a better understanding of this, I have a direct quote from Wikipedia about Jewish atheists that I'm going to read to you now. Jewish atheism refers to the atheism of people who are ethnically, and at least to some extent, culturally Jewish. Because Jewish identity is ethno-religious, meaning it encompasses ethnic as well as religious components, the term Jewish atheism does not inherently entail a contradiction. And a 2011 study found that half of all American Jews have doubts about the existence of God, compared to 10 to 15% of other American religious groups. And while I completely understand that there are non-religious Christians, it's not quite the same situation. Of course, you can follow the teachings of Jesus but not believe in God, but from my understanding, this is not a normal occurrence. But please correct me if I'm wrong about this. Since in Christianity, your actual faith and belief are very important, it's not as simple to be Christian and to not be religious. And as a comparison to the Jews that are atheists, I have other factual evidence from Wikipedia right now. A Harris Interactive survey from 2003 found that 90% of self-identified Protestants in the United States believe in God, and only about 4% of American Protestants believe there is no God. I hope that this can clarify a little bit of what I mean when I say I identify as Jewish, but I do not believe myself to be a religious person. So, moving along. There were many comments telling me that I'm wrong for saying that Judaism is not taught in schools. But what you might not understand is I am not requesting that the Jewish religion be taught in schools, but more so, I would like for the presence of Jewish culture and an understanding of this group of people to exist more in schools. This is a group of people that at one point in time made up a massive portion of the population of Germany. And if we simply teach that Jewish is a religion, it's not really surprising that there is little understanding of the Jewish people as a whole. What about all of the Jewish musicians and Jewish scientists and Jewish people throughout Germany's history that created Germany and who it is before the Holocaust happened? Those are the things that I would love to see taught in schools. Okay, so moving to my next point. I would like to clarify the difference between being Jewish and supporting Israel. The truth is that Israel is the only land that the Jewish people feel is theirs. But at the same time, many Israelis don't identify as Jewish, and many Jews don't support Israel. My being Jewish has literally nothing to do with Israel and the conflict there. And choosing to support or not support Israel has nothing to do with my cultural identity. And while I can identify with the Jewish people wanting a place where they feel it's theirs and they feel safe, I do not identify with waging war or supporting violence or hate. All right, so moving on to one of the biggest things that I saw in the comments section, one of the things that people were very upset about was the fact that I said exactly that there are still many Germans that are in support of Hitler's actions. Now, maybe I used the wrong wording here, but I think it's important for me to now clarify exactly what I meant by this. The truth is that many is subjective, and even 50 people would be too many for me. In 2019, there were officially 3,600 members of the NPD, which is the neo-Nazi party. And while to you that number may feel insignificant, to someone who is the target of the hate, it feels like too many. Now, while the AfD, an extreme right party, might not be inherently anti-Semitic, many of their actions and values show that to some extent they are. For example, their position that the ritual slaughter of animals for kosher food preparation should be banned, or that AfD chief Alexander Gauland expressed pride for the German soldiers during World War II. And then he made the statement, "Yes, we plead guilty to our responsibility for the 12 years of Nazi rule," he said. "But we have a glorious history, and one, my dear friends, that lasted a lot longer than those damned 12 years. As if anti-Semitism didn't exist for centuries before those 12 years, or that it doesn't still exist after." And then he went on to say, "Hitler and the Nazis are just a speck of bird shit in over 1,000 years of successful German history." So for him, the Holocaust might be insignificant, but for me and many other people, it was enormous and incredibly destructive. In May of 2020, the AfD officially had over 34,000 members. Now sure, not every AfD member is a neo-Nazi, but if you even just pull up the AfD Wikipedia page, you'll be informed about how the AfD has been known to stand by many neo-Nazi principles and values. So my question is this many yet? So the next thing I want to point out is about the deep-rooted anti-Semitism embedded in German society. As a basic example, in the craftsman trades, if you're not using enough paint or enough product, you are being a Jew, basically saying that you're being cheap. And in schools, kids use the word Jew as a casual insult. People that I know personally have admitted to making Jew jokes throughout their young adult life. And because there are rarely Jews present, there is seldom someone there to say, that's not okay. If a person uses this language casually, without the concern that it might be inappropriate, the bigger problem is really the fact that society is clearly condoning this type of behavior. And while these people are not necessarily anti-Semitic, their actions are showing that Germany is allowing these discriminations to go on as daily occurrences. Just the other day, a multitude of graffiti was found in Stuttgart with the words, "Angela Merkel ist Jüdin." making clear that the word Jew is derogatory and negative and an insult. And while these graffitis may have been done by just one person, the attack in Halle was also just one person. How many times are we going to hear, well, it's just one time, well, it's just one guy, yeah, but that's not a regular occurrence? If I'm being completely honest, it is already difficult for me to walk down the street here knowing that my ancestors were slaughtered here. And while I recognize that Germany has done a lot to make this country better, it doesn't take away the history, a history that is still leaking into modern Germany. And I would also say that the people who commented on my last video, calling me a liar or telling me they're unsubscribing because of my words, you are proving my point perfectly. When a minority speaks out to explain their frustrations, to explain how they feel, that they feel upset, or they feel that they've been treated badly, or that they feel unsafe, it is the job of the privileged person to listen to them and to acknowledge their words and to try to make change. But clearly so many people who are not voting AfD, people who are not neo-Nazis, but just your average German citizen, felt the need to take a defensive stance and put down this Jew speaking her truth. Now, with that said, I also want to put out a massive thank you to the people who commented kind and supportive things underneath this video. To the people who said they understand and they recognize my words and they want to make changes. The people who listen to me, I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, because the truth is I am happy to live in Germany and I feel like this country does support me. And the reason that I'm saying these things is because I want for Germany to be the best country it can be. I think that that's all I have to say for this video. Once again, like I said in the last one, if you disagree with me and if you want to start a discussion, a conversation, it's totally okay. Please comment below and let me know your thoughts. I just ask that you do it respectfully and to try to understand my point of view before getting angry or upset with me. So that's it for me in this video. I hope that you guys are all doing well and staying safe. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.